obviously these are all different sizes, so baking time varies. What I do is just lightly touch the tops, see which one feels done. This one needs more time. This one definitely feels like I can take it out right now, so I'm going to do that. This one is iffy. I'll give it another 3 minutes, but it should be done very shortly. Keep in mind, I've only been recently baking cakes, but I seem to have stockpiled quite a collection. So, this is pretty much what goes into any creation I make. I need to cover 3 cakes. I'm going to do about 3 sticks of butter, unsalted, so in goes that. And there we go. Next, we do the sugar, powdered pure cane sugar. That you need to go approximately the same ratio of butter to sugar. Keep in mind, this is a lot, but it's how you make good frosting. So there's a half of one. Here goes sugar number 2. I'm going to do about 2.5 boxes of this to make sure I have enough to cover all these cakes. Last ingredient for the base of the frosting is the Crisco, which is usually about a cup to each ingredient that we're doing. So I'm going to put in this much. Since it is summer and it is hot out, we really don't need that much of it. But I'm going to see how this works, and if we need more, we'll add more. So now that I got the base mixture in, I'm going to use all of these extracts to get the flavor I need. Since this is pina colada cake, what I'm trying to do is get a coconut-based frosting, and that will kind of offset the pineapple flavor of the actual cake that we threw in earlier. So, what I'm going to start with is coconut. This is the main ingredient. We need a lot of that. Last thing is meringue powder. This makes the frosting a little bit easier to deal with, a little more manageable, and it makes a smoother blend when I put it on the actual cakes. So we'll mix this all up. And now that the frosting is mixed, I have separated into 4 bowls because I'm going to do 3 different colors. One bowl we reserve to keep white frosting just in case we need it or we need to make an extra color, which I don't anticipate using much of. So I'm going to start with the purple, which is going to be for the biggest layer of cake. Now, I'm actually doing a baby shower cake, which is new for me. Of course, most cakes are new for me. But the person is having a girl, and she actually does not really like pink very much. So what I'm going to do is make purple, blue, and green as the base colors. Now, if I choose to add darker purple color, I can always just put a little bit more in later, but I think for now this should be just fine. Okay, so I finished the cakes. They're all frosted and completed. Squished them down with these Viva brand paper towels because they have no grooves in them, so it makes it easier to make the flat surface. So what I'm doing now is exactly what I did yesterday. As you can see, I've started on the blue cake. Same thing we did to the purple cake with the green tips. Now we're going to do it with yellow. So overnight I put the cakes in the freezer, and that helps preserve it for the next day so it doesn't dry out too much. Unfortunately, we have a small freezer and refrigerator. This house was built in the 70s and has all its same appliances, so what I had to do is put the big cake here into the refrigerator overnight. What I do, though, to help it from drying out is I add about half a cup of sour cream to the whole cake mix, and you won't taste it. It has no flavor whatsoever when it's done, but it helps keep the moisture in. So if you have to preserve it overnight like I do, then it will make it taste better the next day, and it actually keeps it moist for about 2 or 3 days. And for the decorations, we're going to use rolled fondant, or fondant, I've heard it said a few ways. But basically, this has the consistency of Play-Doh, so it's very much like working with Play-Doh. Luckily, it doesn't taste like Play-Doh. I have to add some extract in, so whichever flavor. I chose to go with the rum extract this time, seeing it is pina colada cake. And it does get a little bit sticky after we add that. So what we have to do is take some powdered sugar, pour it on, and just get the consistency a little bit easier to work with so we don't have that stickiness. Now the fondant is good because you can shape it pretty much any way you want. What I choose to do is to roll it out, and that'll allow me to go work with flat objects, which I'm actually going to be making some leaves and flowers on this cake. So I finished the fondant decorations, which is leaves, and I did that with a mold that I got from the craft store. Normally I would just make my own decorations, but seeing as I have a mold and it works and I kind of want to make this fancy, that's what I use to put the fondant in here, press it. When you're done, you just tear it out, put it on the cake, and in between the leaves I'm going to be putting some flowers. But I finished the base flowers, and what I'm going to do now is just go and start some of the outward designs. Not quite the lettering yet, but I just think the cake sides are a little bit too bland, so. And the last part I'm going to make the theme of the cake, which was requested, is these little ladybugs. I'm making them out of fondant, and I just put some red dye on it, just roll it into a little ball, squish it into a circle, and then I take my paintbrush, which is cleaned and, washed, so shape it into a little ladybug. Doesn't have to be precise, but you want to get the basic shape, which is, they have little black heads there, and I don't really know if they have antennas, but it's a bug, so we want to make it as cute as possible and not as ugly as possible. So there's that, and of course the little spots. And there you go. That's it. That's a ladybug. And I'm just going to put it right on this other flower, and once the fondant and the other dye dries a little bit, I'm going to just press it in there. I don't want to touch it now though and ruin it. But those are going to be all over the cake, and we're